And then I would also take advantage of my presence here to quickly introduce the next information session, which is the information session on the call for proposals for projects and technical assistance replication. And that's why I would like to invite my colleague, Anna Klenovsek, to join us. Hi, Anna. I see you there.
Hi. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, very well. Thank you, Anna. I would say goodbye to our colleagues of the PLP team. And I think, Anna, you have a presentation for us. This is our last session. So thank you for bearing with us. And then please keep your questions for the end of the presentation. We will still have a 10 minutes question and answer at the end. Anna, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much for this introduction, Eva. Yes, indeed. I have the pleasure to hold the last session of these info days. I will talk briefly, I will guide you through the Technical Assistance for Replication call, TAR call, which is one of our relatively new calls. So this is the third year we're publishing it. And you can go to the next slide, please. And I will first quickly describe the purpose of this call, explain it. Then, since we already have some experience now, I can give you some feedback on our previous calls and try to explain a bit what went well and what went a bit less well. And then at the end, I will provide you with some general information that you can basically find in the call document that you should carefully read before applying for this call. Next slide. So yeah, this is taken from the call document, and it sort of explains what we want to see in TAR proposals. So TAR projects should provide technical assistance to prepare for and or facilitate the upscaling and replication of results. So of results from other projects, preceding projects funded either by the LIFE program or by other preceding programs that were funded through EU funding programs. So to sort of put this in a more understandable language, next slide. What we would like to see the applicants to do, first of all, we would like them to address the obstacle, the barrier that is preventing them to replicate and to upscale the results of their projects. Then they should carefully describe what they will do in their actions, in their working plans, what they will do to overcome these obstacles, and this should result in a well-written TRR proposal. Next slide. So this is the success rate of our last year's call for proposals. I don't know if you see well, but we received 7, which, yeah, it's not maybe the best, but okay. However, only 1 is proposed for financing. This, is not something that we are happy to see. And I would like to explain a bit more into details why the success rate was so low. Next slide. So here I try to group these weaknesses into 4 main categories. First of one being that they provided insufficient intervention logic. So they identified, analyzed the problem. However, the activities that they proposed were not very consistent or they did not sufficiently demonstrate the need for a TAR project. Then the next category could be that the impact was rather unclear, or it was not it was inadequately described, insufficiently detailed, or not quantified. Sometimes it was quantified, but we didn't find it ambitious enough. Then the next thing was the replication strategy was rather limited. So we saw it more as a continuation than as an expansion of what was done before, and the new activities were rather limited. And the fourth one which I guess appears under all calls for proposals, the poor quality of the proposal. So they were not well clearly written. The consortium, we did not find it as competent enough. Stakeholders were not identified. Work plan not clear. Sorry. Next slide. But as I said, we had one proposal that we found as good enough. And I would just sort of like to quickly explain what they did and why we thought that was sufficient. So they clearly identified an obstacle to replication, because in the previous, it was also a live project. They wanted to develop a device to the last sort of phase, TRL, so technical readiness level 9. However, they did not manage. They only got to the level 5 or 6, which is still at the demonstration and development level. So they would use this TAR project to further develop it, to improve hardware, software, data integration, and so on, and to make it fully operational. At the same time, they will develop trainings and guides, so for future users, and they will also prepare an exploitation plan, a business plan, to help them penetrate the market with this device once developed. So as you can see here, they are addressing sort of the steps that will then finally, after the project end, result hopefully in wide-scale replication. And yeah, they presented this in a good quality proposal. So with a strong international consortium, the coordinator of the previous project is also part of this consortium. They defined the impacts well. They had a clear work plan. They identified and already contacted and got support from important stakeholders. Next slide. But yeah, as this is just one example, I try to put on this slide and various examples what you could address. For instance, if you find that what is preventing you from replicating your results are fake news, then maybe an awareness raising campaign would do the trick. Or in case the outdated regulations and norms are preventing you from, let's say, putting certain product on the market, then maybe you should work on revising and updating this legislation. If the lack of finance is preventing you from doing so, then you could work on securing this access to finance. Next slide. So if you listen to me carefully so far, you see that the focus of this call, of this project, should be rather on facilitation, support, assistance. So you should, during this your TRR project, you should work on the steps that will then result, most probably after the end of your project, in a wide-scale replication or upscale. Next slide. Yeah, and here I would just like to address, the main points from the call document. So you can apply. Only proposals from nature, biodiversity, circular economy, and quality of life are eligible under this call. So there are no energy nor climate projects proposals eligible, like in the previous years. Next slide. And the available budget we have is still 6.5 million. So based on the fact that we have a 60% co-financing rate and maximum of 1 million euros co-financing, we could finance 6 to 12 projects. The award criteria, we have no bonus points, but for the rest, we have relevance, impact, quality, and resources with impact weighting 1.5. Next slide. Yeah, so this is basically my last slide. We opened the call together with other calls in April, and we plan to, it will be closed in September, end of September. And then we plan to notify the applicants already early in the next year, ideally in January, and sign the grants later in spring in April. So this was my rather short and I hope concise presentation. And now I believe we have some time for some questions if we have any.
Yes, thanks, Anna. Thank you very much. The presentation was short, but very clear, I think. However, if there are questions, we're going to take them in a moment. Please post your questions in Slido and look at your previous questions in case you want them answered. Please like the questions so that they will be answered in priority. Let's see the questions. Here they are. So first of all, sorry, I would like to invite our colleague Anne Burrill to join us because I think she volunteered to help us answer the questions. Anne, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
There you are. Hello, Anne. Thanks for joining. So Anna's presentation was actually a bit shorter, so we have more time for questions, which is, I suppose, good news. Now I'm trying to see the questions. They're not displayed anymore, but I think they're coming. Okay, the first question is, can an organization apply for a TA grant without having won or participated in a life grant before? Who can reply? Anne?
I mean, I can.
Oh, Anna, sorry.
As mentioned in my presentation, yes, basically you have to base your TAR application on a preceding project that was either funded through LIFE or through other EU funds. So yeah, it doesn't necessarily have to be a LIFE project that you're going to build your TAR project on.
But maybe it's important to add that if it's a project from another funds, it still has to aim towards meeting the objectives of LIFE. It can't be a project in a completely different field.
Thank you. Oh. The second question, can we see them? There is there a limit to apply to TA since the end date of the previous project? Who takes this one?
I mean, I would say no, but it sort of has to make sense. I mean, if this was a project that's been closed since a long time, I mean, they would have to justify the need for this proposal. But I mean, if there is a need and if they can still sort of expand the potential of their project, I would say yes.
Okay, Anne, do you want to compliment or?
No,
do you agree?
that's fine. Needs to make sense, I agree.
Okay, next question. The final result of technical assistance project is to have a technology device on the market. So is the final...
No, the objective of the project is to find a way to overcome a barrier, and depending a barrier to replication, and depending what that barrier is, you need to have a strategy for how you're going to overcome the barrier and then work to overcome the barrier. Depending on the project, that might involve some technical development. It might not involve any technical development at all if the barrier is, for instance, legal or financial. Maybe this is the moment just to emphasize that this is technical assistance. It is supposed to be supporting the beneficiary in moving towards the replication. It's not actually doing replication.
Yes, I think it's worth mentioning this to clarify. Next question. In the 2024 TAR call, page 11 had the phrase, in case you have a co-financer contribution. Now there is no reference. Does this mean that there can be no co-financer?
There can be a co-financer. This was a change across all of our calls that were no longer requiring co-financing declarations. but it is the responsibility of the applicant, who would become the beneficiary, to ensure that they somehow have all of the finance necessary for the project. But we no longer ask them to provide a declaration from any co-financers.
Okay, thank you. So there is still co-financing, but they don't need to provide a co-financing declaration anymore. Next question, will there be a call focused on climate change adaptation or climate change mitigation next year? Right, because Anna was saying now that the current call doesn't cover this. So Anna, do you want to reply? Or?
I don't believe it's foreseen, so for the moment. So I would rather say no, but it's not 100% no. But I don't think it's foreseen.
Mm-hmm. You need a crystal ball.
Yes, sometimes.
Thank you. Next question. Can the technical assistance for replication code be used for other active life projects approved?
So if this refers to the ongoing projects, this year we put in the code document a sentence saying that the project that it builds on, so a preceding project, should already finalize and submit their final report before the start of a TAR project. So this year we specified it. So it has to be finalized and the final report submitted already.
All right, thank you. And the next question, under technical assistance, the replication of a project in another location is not eligible. Only projects that aim at widespread replication and who overcome barriers to replication are eligible. Can you give an example for widespread replication? Anna?
I mean, yeah, I don't know, Anne, if you want to take it, but this is exactly what I was like emphasizing, that the replications should sort of be the result of an implemented TAR project, right? So it should normally happen, this widespread replication, only after the end of the TAR project, right? So you should use this TAR project to remove the barriers, to work on whatever is preventing you from this replication already happening, right? So you would not replicate something already within this TAR. This would be the sort of the, let's say, consequence of it. I don't know, Anne, if you want to add something.
Yeah, I mean, for instance, if the barrier is there's a need for some kind of certification or permitting on a broad scale in order to roll out whatever the results were from the previous project. At the moment, we'd say it's not possible to do the replication because these results need specific types of legislation developed or specific types of approval processes. Well, what the TAR would do would be develop the legal or administrative context so that those approvals can be given. And then after that, once that barrier is removed, then, as Anna says, after the TAR project, the replication should roll out.
Thanks a lot to both for the complimentary answer. Then we have a question that says, should our current life project be finished when applying for a TAR project? I think it's a kind of repetition of a question we had before. Yes. Is it okay that we are in the final months when applying? So it will be finished when a possible TAR project starts.
Yes, as I said, so it has to be finished and the final report has to be submitted before the start of a TAR project. So if they're already in the final phase, yes, they can submit. It makes sense to submit, yeah.
I was wondering if it was the same question. Now, are the same reporting obligations in force as in standard action projects like KPI monitoring, pre-financing report, and final report?
Yes, projects have to submit the KPIs, but it's like a simplified version of the KPIs, so less complicated. And regarding reporting, these projects are normally shorter. So 12, they can have 12 to 60 months, so 1 to 5 years. And we only request a midterm report, sort of halfway, and then the final report at the end of the project.
Yes, thank you, Anna. And Anne is rightly pointing out that we shouldn't say anymore KPI, key performance indicator, but LPI, life performance indicator, right?
Life project
project
indicators.
indicators. Sorry, Anne.
Okay.
Yeah, we have to get used to this new terminology.
All of us.
But yeah, I think we're coming to the end of our questions and answers. There are still a couple. First, can standard action projects apply for TAR or only SIP-SNAP projects?
No, I mean, it's more, in fact, it probably more often would be a follow-on from a standard action project. That to me would be a more logical sort of project which has had results, something good happening, but for some reason the replication is challenged. The replication isn't going to be as smooth as perhaps was hoped when the project started. So you've got some great result. You see that it's going to be hard to replicate, and they say, what I need is a bit of technical assistance to get over this barrier. I think it would be a lot harder to see actually how to use TA on a strategic project. I think it normally would be a standard action project. So, I mean, if we're coming to the end, maybe I can just recall, we're not talking about actually doing the replication, and we're certainly not talking about just a one-on-one replication. We're talking about technical assistance to prepare the broad replication in the future.
Okay, thank you. And can I submit a TAR proposal in addition with and complementary to submitting another life project?
If I understand this correctly, so they would like to have the two running in parallel. I mean, it would not really make a lot of sense, right? Because I mean, it has to be based, the TAR, on the already preceding project. So you already need to have some results to replicate, and you already need to encounter like some barriers or issues that you would like to overcome. So, I mean, listening carefully to the presentation, I think the one asking this question already knows by now that, yeah, it would not make a lot of sense. So no, you need to have the preceding project already finished and finalized before you apply or at least start your TAR project.
But of course, one entity can apply both for TAR and a standard action project if they're unrelated. I mean, there's nothing to say you can't put in more than one life application at a time, but they wouldn't be linked.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, it's not forbidden, but yes, think carefully. Maybe a last question. After completing the TAR and removing the barrier, can the replication be funded under another life project, for example, climate adaptation subprogram?
It depends whether it fits that call or not. It's very hard to give that as a general answer, but I think very often the broader replication might not be a project itself. It might be, for instance, rollout in the marketplace. It might be uptake of the solution by all the national parks across Europe. So it's probably not so likely a project, but if it fits under a call, well, yeah, why not?
Okay, with this positive answer, I think we can close our session. So thank you very much, Anna, for your presentation, and thank you, Anne, for coming and helping with the question and answers. I think you did both brilliantly. And well, I think this is also the last session of our European Information Days of the live program 2025 calls. So I just wanted to say thank you to the participants for your attention and for also taking part very actively in the Slido polls and in the Q&A. Oh, actually, talking about Slido polls, you will say I'm obsessed by Slido polls, but please let us know if you're satisfied with this last information session on Slido. There should be a poll there where you can just let us know what is your degree of satisfaction about this last info session. Thank you in advance. And I just have to close by thanking all our colleagues, and especially special thanks to our colleagues in the Slido back office who were filtering and feeding all the questions to us. Thank you so much, and all the best to our future applicants for their applications. Thank you again, and goodbye.